Methods of cooking. Here are the basic methods of cooking techniques. The first one is baking. Baking is a dry heat cooking method most commonly done in the oven. The dry, indirect heat from baking cooks all sides evenly and gets the exterior of a food item brown while keeping the inside moist. Though there are exceptions, baking tends to be at medium oven temperature. This method most commonly refers to breads, cakes, cookies, and other pastries. To it can also refer to meats and vegetables such as potatoes and chicken breast. The number 2 is roasting. Like baking, roasting is a dry heat method commonly done in the oven in which dishes are cooked until golden brown and tender. Roasting typically refers to meats and vegetables and can either be done at low temperature, like turkey and prime rib, or high temperature, cause roasted Brussels sprouts and other vegetables. And the next one is broiling. Broiling is similar to grilling except the heat source is extremely hot and comes from the top. It works well for getting the top of a dish brown and crispy like meatloaf, glazed salmon, or cheese. The cheese on the top of mac and cheese. It is usually done in the oven by adjusting the setting to broil. The process happens very quickly, so watch your food carefully when broiling so it does not burn. And next one is searing. Searing is a quick cook method done with a minimal amounts of fat over high heat. Searing foods give them a brown, caramelized outside without fully cooking in the interior. Think searing a piece of tuna so it has a brown exterior and a medium rare interior, or cooking steak in a cast iron skillet. And the next one is sauteing. Sauteed foods are cooked in a thin layer of fat, oil, butter, bacon fat, over medium-high to high heat, usually in a frying pan on the stove top. Foods are cooked until tender or brown. Green vegetables like Swiss chard, asparagus, and broccoli are particularly delicious when sauteed, as is fish. Sauteing is another quick cooking method to keep an eye on your pans and flip and stir your food as it cooks. And the next one is pan frying. Pan frying is done by adding enough fat to a hot pot so that the pan is coated. This method tends to be at a lower heat than sauteing or searing. Pan-fried foods tend to be larger than those usual. Example, golden crab cakes or fried green tomatoes, which are cooked until golden brown on one side and then turn over so the other side can be brown. And the next one is deep frying. Deep frying occurs when food is completely submerged in hot fat. The result is a crispy, golden brown exterior and fully cooked interior. Like fried chicken, of course, is a classic example. Before you try this method, make sure you read our full guide about frying food at home.
Poaching. Poached food should be completely submerged in liquid that is between 160 and 180 Fahrenheit. The food item remains in the liquid until tender and fully cooked through. This is a good cooking method for delicate food. Poaching is one of the essential ways to cook eggs, but it is also used for chicken, fish, and fruit like pears. Simmering. Simmering is another moist heat cooking method, but the liquid is heated to a higher temperature than poaching. Tiny bubbles should appear on the surface. Soups and stews are frequently cooked over a long period of time at a simmering temperature. Boiling. Typically, foods are boiled in water in a pot or deep pan after the water reaches a boiling temperature of 212 Fahrenheit. Though there are exceptions, foods are completely submerged in the boiling liquid and cooked until tender, then drained. Commonly boiled foods include pasta, potatoes, and eggs in the shell. Blanching. Blanching is similar to boiling. Bring a pot of liquid to a rolling boil, submerge your food and cook it. The difference here is that food is only in liquid for a matter of moments until it's partially cooked. Then it's immediately submerged in an ice bath to stop the cooking process. Vegetables such as asparagus, green beans, broccoli, and carrots are mostly frequently blanched. Steaming. To cook an ingredient with steam, first boil liquid in a pot, then place a separate vessel, usually a steamer basket, over the boiling liquid. Steam from the boiling liquid cooks the food, which does not come in contact with the liquid. Vegetables like broccoli, carrots, or cauliflower are often steamed, but the cooking method also works very well for seafood, such as salmon or crab legs. Braising. Braising is a combination cooking method that first involves sauteing or searing an item in a small amount of hot fat to brown the exterior, then simmering it in liquid over low heat for a long cooking period until tender. Braised foods include pot roast, short ribs, and lamb shanks. Grilling. When grilling food, you cook on the top of a grate. The heat source, either coals or flames from a gas line, comes from the bottom. Food is cooked by heating the grill grates, which gives ingredients the charred, grilled lines. The method is pretty easy, especially for staples like burgers, chicken, and steaks. You just need to make sure you flip your food while it's cooking. Before you start learning how to grill, make sure your grill is cleaned and properly prepped for the season.
Egg cookery. Here are the different ways to cook egg. First, hard-boiled egg. A hard-boiled egg is one that's been cooked inside its shell in a pot of boiling water. The term hard refers to both the outer egg white and the yolk inside. After a bit of boiling, these both gain as much firmer consistency. To make a hard-boiled eggs, fill a pot of saucepan with enough water to cover about 2 inches of your eggs. Once the water is boiling, place your egg or eggs into it. Let them sit and boil for 10 to 12 minutes. That's all you have to do. Hard-boiled eggs taste great by themselves with just a sprinkles or salt, or if they're not your style, try to slicing them up and adding them to a salad. Either way, you'll be a pro at making this after just 1 or 2 times. Second, soft-boiled egg. Making a soft-boiled eggs requires a nearly identical process as making a hard-boiled one. The only difference is the length of time and the egg needs to cook. For a soft-boiled egg, cut the cooking time in half. The full process starts by filling a pot with enough water to cover about 2 inches of your egg. Once the water boils, gently drop your eggs in and set a timer of 6 minutes after the allotted time to take them out and put them straight into an ice bath. The result of 6 minutes boil is that the egg white get a cooked through but the yolk remain runny. As you might guess, this is why the eggs are called soft-boiled. You might also hear this referred to as 6 minutes egg, but don't get confused. It means the same things. Like hard-boiled eggs, them tasty eggs are easy to make individually or en bloc. If you to decide to boil a lot of eggs at once, you can pop them in your fridge to store them until you're ready to eat them. No matter how you choose to enjoy these eggs, they are also delicious and easier option. Third, hard scrambled egg. Scrambled eggs are the result of mixing egg yolk and the whites and cooking them. The hard designation simple means the eggs are cooked completely through with no runner egg yolk left. The main caution when making a hard scrambled egg is not to let them become too dry. While they shouldn't be moist, they shouldn't be bone dry. Either no one want to eat entirely dry eggs, it's also important to keep the eggs moving around the pan. You don't want to let them stick to the pan and burn. Fourth, soft scrambled eggs. You might also hear people refer to this cook style as wet scrambled. They're also exactly like hard scrambled eggs, but they one difference. You, you take the eggs off the heat and sieve them while they still have a little moisture left in them. With hard or soft scrambled eggs, it really comes down to repair. Some people like these scrambled eggs on the dry side and while others like them with a softer consistency. When making either type of scrambled eggs, remember the key to success is to keep them moving and not let them stick to the pan.
Omelette. To make an omelette, start with your basic scrambled eggs preparation. Pour your egg mixture into the pan the same way you would for scrambled eggs. This time, instead of scooping and mixing your eggs up, let it sit. Allow it to cook this way, spread out over the bottom of the pan in a mostly flat circle. Then, when it seems cooked and firm, fold it over in half and scoop it out of the pan to serve it. In other words, an omelette is just scrambled eggs without the scrambling. Frittata. A frittata is almost the same thing as an omelette. The only difference is that a frittata remains open, while the omelette gets folded in half before serving. Sunny side up. To make a sunny side up egg, crack your egg directly into a greased or buttered pan. Fry it until the edges begin to turn brown, but don't flip it. Without ever turning it, keep frying your egg until it's as cooked as you like it. Season as desired and serve. By not flipping the egg, the yolk stays slightly runny. Because of this unique facet of the sunny side up egg, you might also hear them referred to as dipping or dippy eggs. Over easy egg. Over easy eggs are in the same family with sunny side up egg. Begin in the same way. By cracking your egg into a greased pan, turn the heat on and let your egg fry until the edges begin to brown. Then flip it over gently without breaking the yolk to cook the other side. However, for a true over easy egg, don't let it fry on the yolk side for too long. Scoop it out of the pan and onto the plate after just a few minutes of frying. Frying the yolk very briefly causes a thin film to form over the yolk. Underneath this film, the yolk is still a bit runny and perfect for toast dipping. Depending on how long you like to cook your eggs, you might even let the egg whites stay a little runny as well. It's a small difference between over easy and sunny side up eggs, but a difference nonetheless. Poached egg. Poaching an egg results in no hard edges. The shell is gone, but the egg remains whole, a bit like a boiled egg. Inside the cooked egg white, however, the yolk remains warm and runny. You might assume you need an egg poacher to make this style of egg, but there are several different methods for poaching an egg without any special equipment. Methods of poaching an egg. The whirlpool method. Heat a saucepan of water until it's almost at a rolling boil, but not quite. Add a small splash of vinegar to your water. Next, take your egg and crack it into a small bowl. Swirl the water in your saucepan and carefully drop your cracked egg into the center of the whirlpool. The whirling motion of the water draws the egg white together. Leave the egg in the water for about 5 minutes, then remove it with a slotted spoon. The strainer method. Heat a saucepan of water, adding your dash of vinegar. Break your egg into a mesh strainer over the water. This way, the most watery parts of the egg whites will slide through the mesh and into the pot. Then, slowly and carefully transfer the egg into the boiling water. Let it cook for about 5 minutes before removing the egg with your slotted spoon. Busted egg. Busting an egg refers to a process of frying an egg using liquid and steam. There are few different ways to do this. Methods of busting an egg. The batter method. With your egg frying in a buttered pan, continually scoop extra liquid butter out of the bottom of the pan and pour it over the top of the egg. This cooks the egg white and yolk thoroughly without ever flipping the egg. The water method. Add some extra water to your frying pan and then put a lid over it. The water will turn to steam, effectively cooking both the egg and the yolk without having to flip them.